Hi, my name is Lynette, and I am a certified professional resume writer here at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library Career Center. Today, I'd like to talk to you about how to write a thank you letter, specifically a thank you letter after you get an interview for a job. This is the template that we're going to be using today. This template comes to us from the book Modernize Your Job Search Letters. This is a fabulous book for anybody who's looking for any kind of letter related to the job search. Cover letter, networking letter, whatever the case may be. Highly recommend. So let's get into it. Let's start by how to format a thank you letter. How do you set it up? How do you structure it? Well, you want to start your letter with some sort of salutation. This is going to be a greeting, such as, "Dear Mr. or Ms. whoever." Then, of course, you're going to write the body of the message, end with a closing, such as "Sincerely" or "Thank you so much for your time," and finally, your signature. You want to make sure that you add a little bit of white space in between each section of the thank you letter. You want to skip a line after each section and after each paragraph of the body. Beyond that, the formatting is going to change depending on whether you're emailing this letter or sending a printed letter. If you do it by email, you want to make sure that your signature includes, in addition to your name, your email address, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile, right there at the bottom of the message so that it's easy for them to get back in touch with you without having to go look up your information. When you're sending a printed letter, there's a little bit more formality to it. You want to add a heading at the top of your thank you letter. It's got your name, your contact info. It may even be the same heading that you used on your resume. You're also going to want to include today's date and the address of the person that you're sending it to above the salutation. If we look at our example, we can see that it does just this. This example from Mr. John Quincy Robinson begins with a heading with his name and contact information, goes into the date, the address, the salutation, "Dear Ms. Lopez," the body of the message, a closing, and a signature. Excellent job so far. Next, now that we've hit on formatting, let's talk about content. How do you write a thank you letter after an interview? What needs to go into this letter? You want to start your letter by thanking them. I know it sounds obvious. You start a thank you letter by saying thank you. But that's the first step to break the ice. Thank them for taking the time to speak with you, to answer your questions, to consider you for the position. You want to make sure that in the letter you reiterate your interest in the position. Make sure that they know that after interviewing, after having learned more about the position, this is something that you really want. A lot of hiring managers have said that candidates sometimes seem unenthusiastic or ambivalent about jobs in an interview. You can counteract this by being extra enthusiastic in your follow-up thank you letter. You want to, for extra points, refer back to some of the specific information that you discussed in the interview. You may choose to talk about some of the things that your interviewer mentioned that make you excited about the position. You may want to talk about some of the ways that you feel you'd be a good fit for the position. Talk about some of the specifics that you guys had discussed in the interview, and that way they'll know that you were paying attention. You also want to restate a few of your most relevant skills and accomplishments. You want to remind them why you'd be a great fit for the job. They probably interviewed several people, and it might be difficult for them to keep track of who was who. Remind them which one you were, why you're a rock star, and why they should immediately stop considering anyone else. If it's appropriate, and if you're applying for a senior, upper-level management or executive position, it is appropriate. Discuss some of the specific challenges the company is facing and your ideas for solving them. You might say something like, "As we discussed in the interview, I know that your department has been having issues with growth lately, causing delays to the customers. I have an idea for how to change this. Here is my 5-point plan." This is really going to impress any interviewer and move you to the top of their list. If we take a look at our sample thank you letter, it does these things. The letter begins by thanking them. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me yesterday at the Trumbull Job Fair. Oh, so he got his interview at a job fair. That's interesting. He says, as I mentioned during our conversation, he refers back to some of the things that they talked about. He highlights some of his best skills and qualifications with this bullet-pointed list of some of the best things he has to offer. And he says, I am confident that my professional experience and forte for providing outstanding customer service will enable me to be an asset to Milford Medical Supplies. He lets them know he's really interested in this, he's really excited about this, and he thinks that he could do a great job. Finally, let's talk about the wow factor, the few things that you can include that will move your thank you letter from good to great. First, you want to make sure that you're prompt. You need to send your letter within 24 hours. An emailed message is fine. It does not have to be a printed letter. If you're worried that you can't get a printed letter out that quickly, send an email instead. It needs to be prompt. You want to let them know that you're thinking about them while they're hopefully thinking about you. You want to send a different note to each person who interviewed you. Panel interviews, where you're interviewed by more than one person, are becoming more and more common. If that's the case and you're interviewed by multiple people, you do not want to send one generic message to all of these people because that's going to look lazy and low effort. Instead, take the time to send a different thank you letter to each person. You want to make sure that you address your readers' needs and interests. A great way of doing this is by talking about some of the things that you have to offer that would be an excellent fit for their specific position. Speaking of specifics, you want to make sure that you include specific examples of your accomplishments and skills. Don't just say, I think I'd be a great fit for the job because I'm good at teaching. Say, I think I'd be a great fit for the job because I have 5 years of experience as a teacher and private tutor. And go into some of the details. That's going to make these accomplishments more impressive. You want to make sure your letter is well written, easy to read, and typo-free. As always, anything you're sending out into the job-seeking world needs to be professional and perfect. Typos are a major no-no. Giant walls of text are also a major no-no. A thank you note should be short. Finally, you want to make sure that you end with a call to action. Let them know what the next step in the process is. Our sample thank you letter does an excellent job of this. He says, during our conversation, you noted that you'll be making a decision within the next few weeks, so he knows it's going to take a few weeks. Then he says, in the interim, I encourage you to also visit my LinkedIn profile. So he's giving them a next step. He's saying, now that we've had this interview, I would like you to follow up on this, find out more about me and my professional life by checking out my LinkedIn profile. Excellent call to action. So, this concludes today's video. If you enjoyed this presentation, please hit like. If you'd like to see more content from us like this, please hit subscribe. And if you have any questions about this topic, you can call us at the Career Center or you can come by at the main library on Goodwood. Thank you.